Madam President, I'm here today to speak about Senator Coleman, who is my colleague for my first 2 years in the United States Senate. As everyone knows, last week the Minnesota Supreme Court issued its ruling on the outcome of last November's Senate election. As I did this week, want to congratulate Al Franken for his hard-earned and long-awaited election victory. He has had a good first week in the Senate, and we all welcome him. But I did want to take this time to talk about Norm Coleman. First of all, after 6 months without having a second senator, Senator Coleman made a very difficult decision, and he did it with such grace. He could have appealed that decision. He could have gone to federal court. It was his right. But he made a decision which he felt was best for the state of Minnesota, and the state thanks him for that, and I personally thank him for that. I wanted to talk a little bit about what Norm Coleman meant to me and what it meant to me to have him as a colleague in the Senate. When I first came in, Norm had been the senator for many, many years, and he was very gracious to me, reached out with his staff. We basically got along from the moment I started to the end of his term as a senator, and we worked very hard at that. When we had disagreements, we talked them out, and our staffs would talk them out, because we felt the most important thing was that we represent the state of Minnesota. Each one of us knows Norm in their own way, but I think all of us agree that this is someone who cares so much about his family, his wife Lori, and their 2 children, Jacob and Sarah. Theirs is a family that's known tremendous tragedy. 2 of their children died in early infancy from a rare genetic disease. While Norm doesn't talk about this much, his reverence for life and his devotion to his family are very clear. Second only to his family has been his dedication to public service. It has literally defined his adult life. Maybe it was sheer destiny that he found his way to the United States Senate. After all, he's a graduate of James Madison High School in Brooklyn, which is also the alma mater of 2 of our Senate colleagues, Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders. Norm hit the ground running in politics, and he hasn't stopped. In college, he was a student activist, and in law school, he served as the president of his class. Immediately after getting his law degree, he joined the Minnesota Attorney General's office, recruited by my good friend, the legendary Attorney General Warren Spanis. Norm was with the Attorney General's office for 17 years, most of that time doing criminal prosecutions, ultimately rising to the position of the Solicitor General for the state of Minnesota. In 1993, Norm was elected the mayor of St. Paul at a time when the city, especially its downtown, was suffering economically. During his 8 years as mayor, he worked to turn St. Paul around. Building public-private partnerships, he redeveloped the industrial riverfront into a recreational green space. A new Minnesota Science Museum was built overlooking the Mississippi River. And most famously, he brought hockey back to Minnesota, securing a new National Hockey League franchise that moved into the new arena. Madam President, hockey is very important in Minnesota. In 1998, Norm was narrowly defeated in a 3-way race for Minnesota governor. The winner, of course, was Jesse Ventura, something that not many people across the United States expected to happen. I think Norm once said that not everyone can say that you lose to a candidate whose previous career highlight was being killed by an alien creature in the movie Predator, but he took it in stride. In 2002, Norm was elected to the Senate under tragic circumstances. Just days before the election, my good friend Paul Wellstone and his wife Sheila and their daughter Marcia and members of their staff were killed in a tragic plane crash in northern Minnesota. Norm became the senator. Like Paul, Norm took his duties very seriously, and I could see that in my 2 years as a Senate. He cared deeply about the work that he did in foreign relations, some of which people really never talked about, never made the front pages of the newspaper, but it was something that he cared deeply about. Together, we worked on several things in our state which were in key importance: legislation to benefit our state, The most dramatic example of this spirit of cooperation was our response to the sudden collapse of the Interstate 35W bridge into the Mississippi River on August 1st, 2007. 13 people were killed and 150 were injured, many with severe and permanent injuries. Literally, our cities came to a stop. For our state, out of this unprecedented disaster, this public trauma, was something that they immediately responded to. I still remember when Senator Coleman and I came in the very next morning, flew in with the Secretary of Transportation, Mary Peters, and there are already billboards up, literally 12 hours later, directing people of where to go with their traffic and how to get buses to get to where they had to go. As I said that day, a bridge in America shouldn't just fall down, but when one does fall down, we rebuild it. In the 72 hours immediately following the bridge collapse, Norm and I worked together to secure $250 million in emergency bridge construction funding. Representative Jim Oberstar led the way in the House. Approval of this funding came with remarkable speed and bipartisanship. Capitol Hill veterans tell me it was a rare feat, aided by a unity among Minnesota's elected leaders across the aisle, across the political spectrum. And I'm pleased to report that just after 13 months after that collapse, Minnesota drivers were able to drive over a safe new 35W bridge, an 8-lane highway. That is just 13 months after the collapse. While the bridge is the most visible example, Norm and I had many other opportunities to work together on issues that mattered to the people in our state. There was another Minnesota disaster in August 2007 when severe flooding hit the southeastern corner of our state. We worked on this together along with Congressman Walz to ensure a rapid, effective response by federal agencies to help communities, businesses, and families in need. We worked together on the Agriculture Committee. We both served on that committee, and we succeeded in passing a new farm bill that was very important to our state. We worked together with a bipartisan group of senators on energy legislation to move forward in unity. We worked together in securing federal funds for the security costs for the Democratic and Republican National Conventions, along with our colleagues in Colorado. I still remember standing before this chamber saying that I stood tall to obtain the funding to protect the security of the Republican leadership from across this country. We did that together. We joined together to secure educational benefits owed to our National Guard and Reserve troops returning from active duty overseas. We are so proud of our National Guard in Minnesota. The Red Bulls have served longer in Iraq than any other National Guard unit in the country. And Norm and I worked together to make sure that we expanded the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program to help those Guard and Reserve who have really no base to go home to, but go home to little towns across our state. We worked on that together. Our state has a proud tradition of representing both Democrats and Republicans to office. They expect us to work together. From the very beginning, Norm and I knew that that was part of our duty to the people of our state. That was part of our obligation. No matter if we disagreed on issues, that we were going to work together. So today, I want to acknowledge my former colleague, Norm Coleman, for the strength that he has shown during this long campaign, for the grace that he showed last week when he made that difficult decision, and for the fine work that he did for the people of Minnesota. Thank you, Madam President, and I yield the floor.